How you guys doing? This is William Myers, Mantis Outdoors, and today I'm going to do a video about some of the misconceptions when it comes to wire snares. You know, I'm not talking about, spring snare poles and primitive trapping or anything like that. I'm talking about like cable snares, wire snares, stuff that can be placed on the ground for animals to go into, like off of a trail or something like that. 9 times out of 10, not even being baited, just a blind snare on the ground through a trail where you know an animal's going to be running. So a lot of things that I see on Facebook and even YouTube, a lot of people talk about, well, you even see it in like Walmart survival kits and stuff like that. You'll see, a little spool of wire that's maybe one snare, and the wire that's made out of probably wouldn't even catch a squirrel, to be honest with you. So what I have here is what people I've seen on Facebook and YouTube most commonly throw into their pack. See if we can't get that to zoom in, focus. So like I said, I see a lot of on survival forums and Facebook, and I've seen a couple of YouTube videos even about this number 30 gauge wire being used as emergency snares, and what they're talking about as far as that goes, and even the snare wire that you get in like survival kits that I really don't agree with anyways, is they'll even come with little instructions. You're supposed to bend a piece over, twist it up, and then do the same thing with about 3 or 4 foot of wire, and that's a snare. And we'll go further into it in a little bit. The problem with this is this 30 gauge wire, this stuff is so flimsy. If you're out and you're down to this, you're actually using this in the wild, you're probably in a little bit of trouble. You're probably fighting for your life. And you make a snare out of this and an animal finds its way into it, and that's exactly what it's going to do. It's going to fight for its life. It's going to spin, it's going to jerk, it's going to run, it's going to jump, it's going to do some more spinning, and eventually it's just going to pop right off. So using this 30 gauge wire on its own as emergency snare wire, probably, I dare say, wouldn't even catch a squirrel, to be honest with you, let alone anything else. That squirrel's just going to flip and toss and turn until it just snaps the wire, and then it's gone. So, but I have a way, this isn't anything new. This is a technique that a lot of people use, but I just want to show it to you, a way to make even this stuff a viable option for snaring. All right. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to start out by just pulling this. And when I mean pulling, I'm going to stretch out the full span of my arms, and that's a pull. So what I want to do is 4 pulls. I'm about 6 foot, so that's going to make 24 feet. So here's the first pull. Got some kids out in the background playing, so if that's what you hear. 2. 3. And 4. So there's 4 right there. We don't even need a knife to break this stuff. Just kind of give it a twist, and it breaks itself. That's why you don't want to use it for snare wire on its own. Alright, so all we're going to do now is find the 2 ends of the wire, and that'll be 50% of our cord there. So then that makes 6. Hold that, find the other end. Okay, so all we're basically doing right now is folding it in half. So we started out with 24 foot. Once it's in half, that gives us 12 foot. And then fold it in half again, gives us 6 foot. And then fold it in half one more time to make a roughly around 3 foot. I mean, we're not trying to be precise here. So this is what we end up with right here. And if you can kind of get a close-up on this, you can see that we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 strands right here, because we folded it that many times. This is pretty simple to do. All we're going to do is start out with the end that has the 2 split ends, what we started with right here. And we're going to take a small stick, just like this. And we're going to wrap that around the stick. And we're going to give that a couple twists, just like that. And we're not really going to do anything more with that for a little bit. I'll show you more on that here in a second. Now with the reverse end, all we have to do is make sure that all of our loops are together, and then we stick a little bit of a bigger stick into that. And start out by giving it just a couple of spins. Got my daughter out here with me. Kind of daddy-daughter day in the woods. So here is the whole piece right here. Kind of looks like one of the old Hitman things, you know, piano wire. I'm going to strangle somebody right now. But what we need to do is position this in a way so we can put it in between our feet on the ground, and just put it in between our feet just like this. Alright, so with the top part, all we have to do is make a circle with our fingers just like that, and then start turning. And this is all going to get real tight real quick. Every now and then kind of try to straighten this up a little bit.
And twirly, twirly, twirly.
Just keep spinning.
And break the stick.
That's fine, doesn't matter. Just keep spinning it. It's going to get real tight. You want it to. The only way it's going to hold its shape is if it gets extremely tight.
Just keep spinning. Just keep spinning. Just keep spinning, spinning, spinning.
Things that happens when your wife is the cameraman. Alright, so after I'm sure that I've spun it enough, make sure it's nice and straight, not a one piece hanging out or anything like that. Give it a couple more spins here. See if you can get a little bit better. It's kind of hard to judge this. If you spin this absolutely too much, you're just going to break it. Or break the stick, either one. But I'm getting quite a few more rotations on this. It's just going to make it stronger. Alright, then we can let it go. Alright, so this is basically what we're left with. So now basically all we've got, you know, like I said, basically a woven snare. And now it's 8 times stronger than when we started out with. So all we have to do is break the stick. Take that end off. Do the same on the other end. And there we go. Now we have our snare. So now let's talk a little bit about application. If you could see, I left those split ends out like that on purpose. You know, this end's all gnarled up and pretty messed up, and it's like that for a reason. You know, this isn't exactly the most humane thing in the world to do. You know, it's not like they're gonna suffer for very long, but they are strangling themselves. That's kind of the point of a snare. You are strangling an animal, and this being like this will actually kind of speed that process up. And what I mean by that is the end that is gnarled up like that, it always goes over the other end, just like that. So that is the part that is going to be closest to the animal's neck, usually about the back of the neck. If you get a neck catch, you know, you might get a body catch, you know, depends. So okay, so basically all I do is I put it down and I get the basic shape that I want. That is actually a little bit too big, in fact. There, I make it about softball size if I'm catching rabbits, a little bit, maybe a little bit smaller if I'm catching squirrels. It all depends. So alright, so basically all you're making is a noose, basically, you know, a wire noose. But there is an actual kind of technique to it, You know, you want to start out with something that's a little bit more than your fist if you're catching like rabbits, maybe even a little bit smaller if you're going for squirrels or if you're targeting squirrels. And then all I do is kind of bend the rest of it back, and that will keep it from going anywhere and allows me to set it, you know, lash it to trees and things like that. So the point of this gnarled end right here, the wires being exposed, is you always want to point them down into the noose, just like this. Because once the snare is actually pulled on by an animal, you can see right there that that gnarled end is going to poke and go into the fur, catch in the fur, get all gnarled up and caught, and poke its skin and things like that. And you kind of imagine what that would do to you. You know, you wouldn't be in a very pleasant mood. You'd want to run, you'd want to get it away from you, you know, things like that. And, you know, I know these topics are pretty taboo on YouTube sometimes, and people don't really like to think about it, you know, animal suffering in any way. But, you know, like I said, if you're down to using wire snares, you're fighting for your life. So what are you capable of doing? What are you prepared to do when it comes down to your life? You know, it's just something to think about. But like I said, that the wire being exposed in the snare will make that animal fight just a little bit more, and that just kind of speeds up dispatching that animal. So like I said, you know, the pieces of wire being exposed inside of the snare, it gets caught in the rabbit or what have you's fur, and irritates it, it hurts it a little bit, makes it fight that much, makes it pull and try to get away that much more, and just kind of helps dispatch that animal a little bit faster. You know, basically the animal is killing itself a little bit faster than, you know, just sitting there strangling to death. It's actually pulling and trying to get away, which it would do anyways. But I've come to snares where they're still alive, and you know, they've been there for a little bit because I haven't done things like this. And we're talking about 10-15 years ago when I first started out snaring and trapping and stuff like that with my uncle and my dad. So, you know, this is just a little trick that I've learned over the years, and I'm not the only one that does this either. And you know, it does work. It, like I said, it gets all caught up in their fur, it pokes them, and it dispatches them quickly because they want to get the heck out of there. They want to get away from it. They end up strangling themselves a little bit quicker. So go ahead and pan down. You know, you can carry this whole roll of wire. You know, this would make a ton of snares. It really would. And you know, once you make them, to make them portable, all you really have to do is roll them up like this, and then just cross the ends of the snare around, and it's going to stay like that. And then you can see if you have a round 10 like that, that's what I have. I have a round 10, and I keep, you know, a dozen of these, well, not like this, but a dozen snares in there, and that's ready to go for me when I want to get some animals. Okay, so like I said, this snare is now 8 times stronger than what it used to be. So, you know, I'm almost guaranteeing that this would catch a squirrel for sure. And a rabbit. I'm thinking that that's going to be no problem. A small or baby raccoon and possum, you're pushing it, but yeah, anything bigger than that, like a regular size possum or a regular size raccoon, I'm doubting it. You know, and that's even with this being 8 times stronger. I mean, you're really pushing it then. So what I would target with things like this would be, you know, like I said, squirrels and rabbits and things like that, and that's easily done. You can even target smaller raccoons if you really know what you're doing and you know how to read trails. So, one. Hey, how you guys doing? This is William Myers. Frog jumped in my throat. 3, 2, 1. And then all we do is basically grab. What was it? A spider or something? Mosquito? Okay.
No,
it was...
The leaf touched you.
Alright, shh, shh, alright, shh. Alright, 3, 2, 1. So, like I said, even though this
Evelyn, shush.
Goofy butt.
Say, ba-la-la-la.
Alright guys, let me get done with this video.
Silly
Go
girl.
play out in the woods. What do you guys want to do? You guys want to build a shelter?
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright.
We already have a shelter.
Camera, action.
Camera done.
Alright guys, well, it's been William Myers, Mantis Outdoors. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, there's some more of my previous videos that are playing in the screens to my left right now. There's also a subscribe button over there. If you haven't done so, I appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. To stay up to date with what I'm doing with my school and the YouTube channel, stay posted on the videos that are going to be uploaded. You can go to www.facebook.com/Mantis Outdoors, or you can go to www.mantisOutdoorsllc.com. Liking my videos helps me and my channel out a lot. I appreciate all your views, comments, and support, and hopefully we'll see you out in the woods.